The old mansion loomed on the hill, dark and forbidding. Emily stared up at it, a shiver running down her spine. It was just a dare, a silly challenge from her friends. No one ever went near the place. Stories circulated about it, whispers of strange noises and lights. Some said it was haunted. Emily wasn't one to be scared easily. She took a deep breath and marched up the overgrown path. The iron gate creaked open with a groan like the house was sighing. Each step towards the house made her heart pound faster. The setting sun cast long, eerie shadows. She reached the front door, its paint peeled and faded. The brass knocker was shaped like a snarling wolf, its eyes seeming to follow her every move. Taking another deep breath, Emily raised her hand. She knocked 3 times. The sound echoed through the silence. No answer. Emily tried the doorknob. It turned with a low, grating sound. The door creaked open, revealing darkness within. Emily hesitated. A cold breeze blew from the open doorway, carrying with it the scent of decay and dust. It sent a shiver down her spine. What was she getting herself into? The hallway yawned before her, dark and silent. Dust motes danced in the single beam of light from the setting sun. The air was heavy, thick with the silence of ages. It pressed down on her, suffocating. Emily took a tentative step inside. Her footsteps echoed in the stillness. She ran her hand along the wall, feeling for a light switch. Her fingers brushed against something cold and slick. She recoiled her hand with a gasp. It was only cobwebs, but it felt like something else, something alive. She finally found the switch. The light flickered, then came on, revealing a grand but decaying hallway. A once ornate rug lay threadbare in the center. A large dusty chandelier hung from the high ceiling, its crystals dull and lifeless. And then she saw it. A flicker of movement at the top of the stairs, a shadow that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Emily's heart leaped into her throat. Was she really alone in this house? Emily took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. It was probably just the wind, or maybe a bird that had gotten in. She told herself it was nothing, but fear still gnawed at her insides. She continued down the hallway, her footsteps echoing on the wooden floor. She peered into each room as she passed. Each one was like a time capsule. Furniture draped in white sheets, faded portraits on the walls. The air thick with the smell of dust and decay. The musty air of ages. It was as if time had stood still in this house. In one room she found a child's nursery. A rocking horse stood frozen mid-gallop. A doll lay abandoned in a crib. Emily picked up the doll. Its porcelain face cracked and faded. She could almost hear the echo of children's laughter in the silence. Or was it just her imagination? The air grew colder as she climbed the stairs. Each step creaked under her weight. The shadow she had seen lingered in her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that something was moving with her, just out of sight. The upstairs hallway was even darker than the one below. The single window at the end was boarded up, plunging the hall into shadow. Emily fumbled for her flashlight, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt a strange pull towards the room at the end of the hall, as if something was calling to her. As she neared the room, she heard a noise. It was a soft sound like someone crying. Emily froze, her blood turning to ice. She listened intently, her breath catching in her throat. The sound came again, this time closer. It seemed to be coming from the room at the end of the hall. Emily slowly pushed open the door. The room was dark, illuminated only by a sliver of moonlight from the boarded-up window. Dust motes danced in the pale light. The air was thick with the smell of mildew and decay, and something else, something sweet and cloying, like the scent of overripe flowers. She took a step inside, her hand trembling as she raised her flashlight. The beam of light swept across the room, revealing a 4-poster bed draped in dusty sheets, a vanity table with a cracked mirror, and in the corner, a rocking chair facing the wall. The crying had stopped. Emily slowly approached the rocking chair, her heart pounding in her ears. She could have sworn she saw it move, just a slight rocking motion, as if someone had just been sitting there. She reached out a hand to touch the chair, and that's when she heard it again. A child's laughter echoed through the room, chilling her to the bone. It was a high-pitched, sing-song laughter full of joy and malice. Emily spun around, searching for the source of the sound, but the room was empty. The laughter faded away as quickly as it had come, leaving behind an eerie silence. Emily stood frozen in place, her mind raced to make sense of what she had just heard. Was it her imagination? Or was there something truly sinister at play in this house? She had to get out of there now. She turned to leave, but the doorknob wouldn't turn. It was as if something was holding it shut. Panic surged through her. She rattled the doorknob again and again, but it wouldn't budge. She was trapped. Emily leaned against the door, her heart pounding in her chest. She was trapped, alone in the dark with whatever was haunting this house. The laughter echoed in her mind, mocking her fear. She had to find another way out. She scanned the room again, her eyes adjusting to the darkness. There had to be another way out, a hidden door, a secret passage, something. But the room seemed to be closing in on her, the air growing thick and heavy, making it hard to breathe. A cold breeze brushed against her neck, whispering a name, Isabel. Emily whirled around, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness, but there was nothing there, just the sound of her own ragged breathing. She had to get out. She had to escape the whispers, the laughter, the oppressive atmosphere. This house was more than just old and creepy. It was evil. And it was holding her captive. Emily's eyes darted around the room, searching for any means of escape. The boarded-up window offered a glimmer of hope. Perhaps she could pry it open, but as she approached, her foot kicked against something hard and metallic. She bent down, her fingers brushing against the cold surface of an old trunk. It was tucked away beneath the window, partially hidden by the heavy drapes. Hope surged through her. Maybe it held the key to her escape, or at least some answers. She wrestled with the rusty latches, her fingers aching with the effort. Finally the trunk creaked open, revealing a treasure trove of forgotten belongings. Yellowed lace, a porcelain doll with vacant eyes, and a leather-bound diary. Emily reached for the diary. Its pages were brittle with age, the ink faded. She opened it carefully, her heart pounding with anticipation. The first entry sent a shiver down her spine. July 12, 1888. My name is Isabel, and this house holds a darkness I cannot explain. Emily devoured the diary's words, each page drawing her deeper into the mystery of the mansion. Isabel's story unfolded before her eyes, a tale of love, betrayal, and a tragedy that had stained the very walls of the house. Isabel, a young woman full of life and laughter, had fallen deeply in love with a charming but deceitful man. He had wooed her with promises of a bright future, only to abandon her on their wedding day, leaving her heartbroken and alone. Driven to despair, Isabel had taken her own life within the mansion's walls. Her spirit, unable to find peace, remained trapped within the house, forever bound to the site of her heartbreak. As Emily read the last entry, a cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing her flashlight. The diary slipped from her grasp, falling to the floor with a soft thud. She was plunged into darkness, enveloped by a suffocating sense of dread. Panic welled up inside Emily as darkness enveloped her. The silence was broken only by the sound of her own ragged breathing. She fumbled for her flashlight, her fingers closing around the cold metal. With a flick of the switch, a beam of light cut through the darkness. Her heart pounded in her chest as she glanced around the room. The air seemed thick with unseen energy, charged with emotions from the past. Isabel's presence felt palpable, a weight pressing down on her. Suddenly, the rocking chair began to move. Slowly at first, then with increasing speed. The rhythmic creaking echoed through the silent house, each squeak a nail scraping against Emily's nerves. She stumbled back from the chair, her eyes wide with terror. She had to escape this room, this house. But fear rooted her to the spot, paralyzing her with indecision. Emily's breath caught in her throat as a cold spot settled over her, despite the summer heat. The air grew heavy, making it difficult to breathe. A child's laughter echoed through the room, sending chills down her spine. It was closer now, filled with a chilling glee. She spun around, searching for the source of the laughter, but the room remained empty. Shadows danced at the edge of her vision, playing tricks on her already frayed nerves. The scent of overripe flowers intensified, cloying and sweet, making her feel lightheaded. The room seemed to shift around her, walls closing in, distorting her perception. Panic surged through her, threatening to overwhelm her. She had to escape this nightmare, but the house held her captive, its grip tightening with every passing second. Emily stumbled towards the door, her hand reaching for the doorknob. It was ice cold to the touch, sending a jolt of fear through her. She twisted it frantically, but it wouldn't budge. The laughter intensified, echoing around her, mocking her desperate attempts to escape. As the laughter reached a fever pitch, Emily slammed her shoulder against the door with all her might. The old wood splintered, giving way with a resounding crack. She tumbled into the hallway, gasping for breath. She scrambled to her feet, not daring to waste a precious second. Her flashlight beam danced wildly as she ran, casting elongated shadows that twisted and writhed on the walls. The air grew colder with every step, the scent of decay overwhelming. The child's laughter followed her, echoing through the empty halls, urging her forward. Emily didn't look back. Her only thought was escape. She had to break free from the mansion's clutches. She burst through the front door and into the night. The cool air filled her lungs, washing away the oppressive atmosphere of the house. Emily didn't stop running until the mansion was nothing more than a distant silhouette against the horizon. She had escaped the mansion of echoes, forever marked by the chilling encounter. And she knew, with a certainty that sent shivers down her spine, that she would never forget the tragic tale of Isabel, the heartbroken spirit trapped within its walls.